Incoming transmission.
Hey people, 5Ace is here, General 5Ace is here, and I'm broadcasting live from my war room, which is totally not identical to my bedroom. And welcome back to the Global League series, where we take OpenRA by the balls and shake it, and see what comes out of it. This is where I'm trying to cast my own replays of the Masters League, so fairly high tier matches, and trying to explain my decision making process. And in week number 9, I was up against Murto. First off, you might be saying, well, last episode was like round 6. What happened in between? Well, some players dropped out, unfortunately, but that's how business works here, around these parts. And I was up against Murto the Ray, who at the time being was in spot number 1, because he had not lost a single game, other than against Carrillo, who had dropped out of the league. So the game automatically got forfeited. And so I was 1 point behind because I had lost a game against Barb. The pressure was on, believe it or not. And for the first match, I picked Behind the Veil. One of my favorite maps, created by Carrillo. I've stated this time and again, it provides you with ample opportunities to do some early game trickery with engineers. It forces you to build an engineer anyway because you have 2 oil derricks to grab. And in this episode, we're going to talk about the concept of opportunities and opportunity cost. So right off the bat, fairly standard opener. We had some lag there. I am immediately going for Riflemen and see how the Riflemen are carefully positioned so that the engineer can't be intercepted by dogs, because Murto is someone who loves playing with dogs, and lots of Soviets players will do that. Dogs are really fast, especially on roads. They can just hog your engineers and gulp them down like a 5-star meal. Half the course. Both of us are moving out with their original MCV after the War Factory, which is a standard play, I'd say. I'm going for an early Ranger, like opting for that. Murto's trying to force fire here, but he misses the mark. He's pretty off the mark. This wall that went up on my side, yeah, you'll see it actually proved detrimental. So my early Ranger is just there to pick off any light scouts, inflict some bleed on the infantry, stop him, prevent him from getting an infantry blob up, which is very important because many players tend to use infantry a lot. Like, infantry is the most cost-efficient, damage dealer, I'd say. They also do mixed damage. If you mix rifles and rockets in a 1-to-1 ratio, you've got a blob that can actually counter everything fairly reliably. Early APC for Murto, it's mostly for the shock value, because early on, people are usually not going to build many rocket soldiers. So, yeah, the APC is just a powerhouse early on. And it can also inflict some bleed, like the Ranger, but a bit heavier. And it can especially get some really good crushes in with the Riflemen, because they don't dent it. He's trying to capture with an Engineer. Fortunately, I've got my Ranger on guard duty to clean him up here. Yep, almost getting through with the capture, but that's it. His APC retreats. He's trying to find my weak spot, and what I'm trying to do with this build, I know that Murto likes teching before he actually takes any expansions, so I'm putting on some early pressure. Couple medics, infantry blob, and immediately focus firing on the APC because it's deadly. It can get some really good crushes in there. That was 4 crushes in a row. Like, those rocks prevent you from dodging. So I'm trying to put on some early pressure and especially take out the oil derricks early, because that's an eco advantage I will have over him for the entire remainder of the game if he doesn't counter it. Other than that, harvester spam in the beginning. I'd say 5 or 6 harvesters is where your base is actually, or your double base is actually saturated. What I'm doing here is just, again, trying to inflict manpower bleed, using my Ranger without him getting killed. To pick off some stray rocket soldiers. They're fairly durable versus rocket soldiers. It's really good. At the same time, still streaming in infantry. Now, there was a major fuck up on my part. You see the rally point here. That's a horrible rally point. After you're finished producing your harvesters, which I am at this point, I'm starting to produce light tanks. You should move your rally point over to somewhere closer to the enemy base, because here they're just blocking you. Radar out for me versus the service depot for Murto, so he's going for tanks. Haven't scouted it yet. But I've got a really strong counter, and what the Ranger does, the Ranger is so mobile and it has such a good line of sight that it provides it with such an advantage in early game fights and skirmishes where there is no Yak coverage yet. So I've got the line of sight advantage here, and I just take out his infantry. Plus the medics are keeping my boys alive. Bring the boys home. Oil derrick going down, and that's exactly what I wanted. That's my basically mission accomplished for this infantry army here. And now I'm streaming an army to the top right side because my thought process is okay. Also, I get a heavy tank for free here. That was really bad on Murta's part. My thought process is okay. If Murta sees that he can't contest me on the left side, he might move to the right. We're both a bit sloppy there. We both moved out our rocket soldiers first. You never should do that. Riflemen are there to soak up damage. Rocket soldiers are way more expensive. There goes a harvester for him and an APC. So again, I've just decimated his army, kept it in check. My Ranger is going home, and my first Hind is out. Now the Hinds basically serve the same purpose as the Ranger, with the additional benefit that they can just destroy infantry blobs. He has opted for a Flamer drop, which is really expensive, just to take out my Oil derrick, which I did the same plus killed half of his army. So way better trade for me. And I still have an Oil derrick going. Now I'm starting mass Hind production, and the reason behind this is that Murto loves, well, he plays very infantry centric. This blob here is just to have an eye on the map, not actually expecting to do any major damage with that. He is scouting for expansions, he doesn't see anything. And yeah, that's horrible. That was really horrible. The pathing blocked, the ore truck pathing blocked all my rally points. My rally point is over there, but the harvester actually prevents this from moving anywhere. So I'm wondering, why is my army trickling in so slowly? Here, go for a scouting run. See the positioning of his war factory, it's really important. Sure, the Hind goes down to a flak truck, but it served its purpose. Heroic pilot coming down the parachute. How cute. He's starting mass production, but he's on he's on not one base, he's on 1.5 bases. That's your starting location, here's your natural expansion. So he's on 1.5 bases, and I am starting to fire at the MCB production now. I was talking about opportunity cost earlier, and what happened here is that I accidentally queued up 2 MCBs. Now what do you do with 2 MCBs, right? Do you move both of them to the same location? Hell no. You're trying to to be as greedy as it gets. So, bad trade on my part. Getting blocked off by the Yaks here and losing my Hinds to flak trucks. Almost losing another one. But again, I have presence on the map, and he doesn't really. All of his infantry is staying home because he doesn't know what direction I'm attacking from. The Yaks are his only eye in the sky. So my first expansion is going to the right side. He has got a rifleman there to scout, which is really smart. But that won't stop him. That won't stop me really. We're just fixing up my Hinds, and here comes a already pretty decently sized force. He attacked my Tanya because I was going for tech. He had killed my Tanya, but he could have killed my Conyard instead. Good crash on his part. Kills a lot of rockets. And I deployed just so he couldn't snipe with the Conyard with the Yaks. So now, Murto doesn't know about my expansion yet. He doesn't see that I've deployed a Conyard here. So he thinks, okay, he might expand to the bottom left anytime soon now. That's not what's happening. There is an expansion top right. And artillery should never go to the front lines. That was a misplay. I accidentally my artillery. Pretty much that. Yep, here we've got the bolt clear. Again, that was a grave mistake on Murto's part, because those 2 heavy tanks, I don't know what they were doing here. They had no business being there. He has rushed a missile silo, and that's the reason why I know I can get away with 2 Conyards and a Chronosphere, because I know that Murto will always hard tech before he expands and feels safe. Which on this map can be very detrimental, because your opponent can lock down a good chunk of the map. I see shock troopers, so the smartest response is, seeing as I spawned as Britain, smartest response is a single phase transport. Because those boys, they just crush stuff. And Invisi crushes are pretty brutal. He scouts my chronosphere. And he knows that I'm Britain, so that's actually a real chronosphere, can't be a fake. He's trying to attack into my fortified position. It ain't happening, buddy. Here are the longbows. Those guys I just built to deny any vision for him. I'm going to try and find the yaks. Snipe them and prevent any scouting from going on. And here I've got the double expansion. He hasn't scouted yet. So he's expecting, okay, I'm going to queue up an MCV anytime now. And probably going to move to the left side. There's my MCV. And... nope. There is already an expansion for me. I've claimed the spot. So I know he's going to... as soon as he scouts me, I know he hasn't scouted me yet, but as soon as he scouts me, he will move to the left with his entire army, because he needs to get a hold of the expansion. He's got all the tech he needs. He's got the Iron Curtain, Missile Silo, everything. So this is the push. Now I'm starting to fortify on the left side, especially camo pillboxes. My longbows are swooping in, trying to go for the yaks. Can't find them. Too much anti-air. He is deploying here because he knows that there is a base for me already. And he's trying to move his infantry blob in. That already cost him so many rocket soldiers. That was such a costly trade for him. That alone was at least 2,000 in rocket soldiers. Excuse me while the amusement park behind me is going buck wild. So you might hear some noise spikes. His rock troopers are behind walls here. Now one of those concrete walls was... no, both of these were actually on my side. I tried to box him in. Didn't fare so well. My MCV tries to escape. Fortunately his yaks don't have any burst left, and I've queued up like 10 camo pillboxes at this point. Because I know I need to get rid of the infantry blob. So this is focus fire. I'm manually targeting all the rocket soldiers and whatnot. That was why the camo pill looks straight so well. And the rest of my army is knocking at the door topside. Got a couple phase transports for the crushes in a separate control group. Getting some... trying to get some crushes here. That one was good. And power down for him. That sets him back by quite a bit. Because he actually... there was a really good crush again. You see, just... This is how you decimate an infantry blob. You just have a couple light vehicles, run them in, and crush everything you find. So he's on almost nothing. I have rebuilt Tanya, I've got my navigation satellite coming online in a couple minutes, well, 2:30. And he's still 6 minutes shy of his A-bomb. And yeah, I already feel that he's under so much pressure that the nuke won't probably come into play anymore. Again, fortifying here with lots of camo pillboxes, getting the eyes in the sky out of there. And he is completely contained. This is what he sees. 1 base, 2 bases, 3 bases, camo pillboxes everywhere, base defenses everywhere, navigation satellite, and he calls quits. Completely understandable. At this point, he was just out macroed. And yeah, this is opportunity. I queued up 2 MCVs. Instead of saying, oh shit, time to just build another put my MCV here and try and fortify. Nope. Play aggressively, try to claim your territory, and try to push forward. That's it for the first part, and we're going to jump into the second part right now. And we're back with round 2 on the legendary map Sidestep, created by none other than the elusive Mr. So Scared. Check out his YouTube channel if you haven't already. He also produces OpenRA content. Quality content. Now Sidestep. That was Murto's choice for game number 2. We were both really hard pressed for points. We had to make something happen because I was 1 point behind and he needed the points as well to stay ahead. So this was on the razor's edge. Really high pressure. We both made lots of mistakes, and I'm going to explain how so. Now first off, he is running in with an attack dog. He's trying to catch my engineer off guard. But a good player should never let that happen, because you always build a rifleman to escort your engineer. So the dog is going to be put to sleep. He's only sleeping, guys. He's sleeping there. He's alright. Yep. And the engineers get the Wilderix. Now, again, fairly standard build order. We both go Condyard deploy into power plant, into barracks, into ore refinery, into war factory. And after that you've got a plethora of different builds. You can go for a tech rush by going radar dome. You can go for a solid macro opener by going service depot. You can go for something cheekier. You can go for whatever, navy, whatever, early hind play. It's all up to the player. And on this map, you basically 9 out of 10 times I see people going for the macro opener because there are just so many expansions. It's like that's how So Scared likes them. Lots of expansion slots, lots of ore. Really macro heavy. There is no way around getting an expansion at some point in the game, because otherwise your opponent is going to have 5 times the income, right? Oh, excuse me. Just shutting down my cell phone for the time being. What a nuisance. I'm always opting for an early ranger on this map. It's so huge, it's so vast. You want to uncover the shroud as soon as possible. You want to pick away at the rifle infantry, and that's actually something I really like about the allies. They have got the mobility and line of sight of the ranger. Especially on large maps, that's quite a big deal. Because I can blind Murto early on. I can kill all of his scouts. I can just deny all the vision, and I can also inflict some manpower bleed, because he is... well, most players would usually go for infantry early on, because it's just the most efficient way of dealing damage and also like getting mass up. So inflicting manpower bleed like this is a really efficient way of keeping your opponent down and just slowly whittling away all the assets he has. He has built an APC after his second ore truck, so that's not a scouting APC really. It's more for protecting his Engie and trying to get some captures in. I get a scout of the entire base. And the reason why I can do this is I know that before minute 4:30 or 4:20 for you guys out there, I know that's how you roll. Before 4:20 there can't be a Tesla coil from, at least not from a proficient player, because it's early on. It's such a big investment that you want to invest the money in harvesters. You want to invest it into maybe some infantry to keep you safe, but definitely not into a Tesla coil. And 4:30 is kind of the cutoff point where the builds start to diverge. I see his service depot. I've got one of my own. And this is what I'm talking about. This is I have found a lone rocket soldier. Rocket soldiers cost 300. It's not negligible. It's actually some fairly big cost bleed. And all he got really was a scout of my base, nothing else. Again, I'm blinding him, I'm killing his soldiers. Some easy cash bounty there. Mr. Murto is going for heavy tanks, and the reason why he's doing that is he wants to apply early pressure. However, he has forgotten about his eco. Early on I said it's standard to go for about 5 to 6 ore tracks. Well, Murto's on 4 and I am on 6, so that's already, well, a 50% income difference, depending on the perspective. And I've got my MCV way earlier than he has, so I feel very confident going double tech, service depot and radar dome. He must be no, he's actually not floating. He's just earned less period. I'm going for early mechanics, well, early medics and mechanics. And there's a good reason for that. Also, I've rushed a mine layer. So what I really like to do in this map is narrowing down the middle, or making the middle, making it an area that is completely denied. Completely denying this path of attack here. I see his 2 heavy tanks incoming. That was a very questionable play by Murto. He didn't have the infantry. The infantry was going top side, and the tanks were going bottom side. So my mechanic says thank you for the new vehicle. That's a pretty cool ride you've got there. Let me pimp your ride. The other tank is just sneaking into the back lines, killing my harvesters. Was a bit unattentive by me. Fair enough. He's got his expansion now. It's like a minute later than mine, and he's trying to protect it with his rocket soldiers. So I have nothing to fear at the moment. There is my swaggy new ride for the mechanic. Pretty dope. It's got double barrels. It's awesome. So he's deploying and fortifying here, and I am just... Well, now I realize that there's still a heavy tank in my backlines. sending my infantry to clean up. The mine layer is starting to do his work, and this mine layer is going to be a hero. It's really it's the unsung tale of the mine layer. This guy, unfortunately, he can't get veterancy. If he could, he would tell you a story, man. Again, Murto is just trying to get something done with his lone heavy tank there. Pretty weird. I've lost 2 of my hinds there because they just went into autopilot to scout, and I didn't put on the attack move, so they just got wasted. I'm going for more mechanics, and also rushing a tech center at this very point, I believe. Not building any hinds right now because I don't want to play mass hinds on this map. It's just so easy to lock down. You can deny your opponent so many paths. If you just place a SAM site here, SAM site here, SAM site here, then that's half the map locked down. He has again wasted his heavy tank, plus I've still got an engineer there. Again, thanks for the ride, bro. Getting some pretty good loot there. And that's a big swing. Keep in mind that's 1150 down the drain for Mr. Murto and plus 1150 in the asset bank for me. So a very, very good trade for me. Even if I lost my oil derrick. At this stage in the game it doesn't really matter. Now, this time I'm building artilleries. And the reason is he has mass infantry blobs that I've scouted with my hinds. And artilleries are the perfect infantry killer. But only if protected by anti-air. He's got blobs. He's got a single V2 rocket, and the thing is, I like going for 3 V2 rockets, if I go for them, because 3 V2 rockets can burst any major building and kill it in one shot. And they have, they have this upfront damage. They have really high burst damage, so I really like hit and run with them. Like target a refinery, watch 3 missiles fly, and move back, and you've already killed the army. Or you've already killed the refinery. Here, no anti-air for me, that was very bad. Really sloppy. But I get a really good mine belt deployed. And one of the problems that Murto had in this game was that he never really macroed up. You see 4 harvesters in his main base. It's a bit thin on the harvester front, if I say so myself. Now I've got the tech center. Those rocket soldiers were a bit out of line there. Not the smartest move. He's starting to inch forward with his MCV. And this is how the games often develop on sidestep. They develop into this standoff where there's a front here, a front there, and occasional sneak attacks through the top and bottom. Right here, with a small army. The V2 rocket is doing some poke, but it's just one V2 rocket, so it can't burst the refinery. Which would be the cutoff point where I really consider them useful. The Tesla coils are really good, really well placed, nestled in there. I can't build anything here because the Tesla coils will zap it. And here comes the engagement. So one of the big things that I'm doing here, I've built a radar jammer. That's because I see how many rocket soldiers he has. And as soon as the radar jammer arrives at the front lines, all the missiles start going fucking bucking bronco crazy. Really good hind crash there. And that's what seals the deal for him. Also the mine layer tanks a lot here. Plus, if you have noticed, the low health from the mine layer was actually really helpful in this engagement. The reason being that low health units get repaired way faster by mechanics. They repair a flat health per repair tick. And that was really, really useful for me, because it kept it alive for so long. Now he's starting to push through here. He's got Tesla coils, he's walling off, really good. Tesla coils are really, really useful if they're behind walls. And this is my hero mine layer. Crushes an entire shock trooper blob, and still manages to get mines in there. There was a bit cocky mine placement, and at this point he had served his purpose. He's going home. Well, he's going sky high is what I meant to say. Another radar jammer here. The reason for the radar jammers is just I want to deny the missiles. But I've seen him transition over to shock troopers, so the radar jammer won't do jack shit anymore. So at this point I'm stopping mobile radar jammer production. Again, all I need here is a couple artilleries to clear the blobs. You can see that Murto is playing very infantry heavy in this. He barely has any tanks. He's got like one APC, one heavy tank here, mine layer there. And those mines were really annoying because they forced him to build his own mine layer. In case you guys don't know, mine layers have detection, mine detection that is. And that's what saved his ass here. That's what cleared the mines. He still doesn't have an iron curtain. I, on the other hand, have rushed a nuke. And I just know I can get away with the nuke because I have killed a lot of infantry. So I know I'm ahead in the assets. He's going for a two-pronged attack. And he's playing it really well. He's diverting my attention here with the Tesla coils. He's keeping his army back and waiting for me to make a mistake. And at the same time, he's going in bottom side. Fortunately, I've gone for a double refinery and I spot this just in time. And here comes his infantry blob top side. So I'm focused on the bottom side. I'm trying to clear this. No big deal. And in comes his push top side. And at this point, I just wasn't prepared. The Hinds were all out of ammo. The Coneyard was completely exposed. I try and run back, but to no avail. So this gives him a distinct advantage because he actually has killed off one of my bases while he still has 3. He's mining there from double ore trucks, and now he's moving in to deploy here. That's the right call. Very important, after you have claimed your opponent's expansions, always move there with the Coneyard yourself. Try and get those juicy resources for yourself. Really bad artillery on my part, they were really far ahead of the crowd. There's Tanya. She's quite the crowd pleaser, especially against shock troopers. And my Hinds are just swooping in, taking care of the anti-air, and Tanya got one shot. Thing is, Shockers have a one-shot modifier. This mobile radar jammer didn't do anything anymore, so I just sent it to a tank as a sacrificial lamb. He can't really engage into my top side because I've got too many artilleries there. And those artilleries, this placement is deliberate because they're nestled in behind my army. So he actually has to get through my army if he wants to go get to my artilleries. So it's sap time for him. It's either that or trade away the Yaks. So I'm doing the same that he has done to me on the top side. I'm claiming bottom side for myself. And remember, I still got the nuke timer ticking for me. So now I feel really confident building a mobile gap generator. I'll talk about that in a second, what that achieves. These artilleries, you see, they're nestled in the back, so they just get 3 shots off. And they kill so much infantry. Boom, that's another. This shot kills another, like... this shot maybe? Yeah, kills another 1,200. Because Shockers are really expensive. He kills Tanya again. He killed her on cooldown. He was really paying attention there. So okay, now that I've claimed this expansion, let's talk about the mobile gap generator. It's France's special unit, and it's not actually that great. However, it does do one thing. It is a reverse cloaking mechanism. Because if you see this on the map, you're like, what's in there? What the fuck is this? What's in the box? So I'm already forcing Murto to use his spy plane. And if after the spy plane wears off, now if I move the gap generator, he actually has to send something to check whether or not there is something behind my gap generator. In this case, it was just a gap generator. That's really annoying. Again, he gets really good crushes in there. I would have needed anti-air farther forward, but I didn't have it. So my longbows are there to pick off the Tesla coils. They're really good versus base defenses. So I decide there's no SAM site. I can go in. Boom. Also, I'm trying to pick the eyes are out of the sky. He's trying for a flank with the shock troopers. At the same time, I'm decimating his shock trooper blob here. Again, another 1,000 just killed for free. And he's trying to base push me here, but that's just not happening. I'm too well fortified. He kills my oil derrick, but that's pretty irrelevant in the late game stages. So his Conyard is under fire, and I've got the nav set coming up in 4 seconds. There I kill his entire shock trooper blob. Pretty much for free. Lost like 1 or 2 hinds. Now the nav set is up, and he didn't redeploy. He should have redeployed this Conyard here. My nav set is up, so I can see that there is not much infantry in his composition anymore. So I can transition to something else, and this is the gap generator, again being annoying. He doesn't know what's in there, so he has to move his tanks in. I see the Iron Curtain, I hear it fire, and move back just in time. He doesn't find my artilleries, fortunately. He doesn't want to lose his flak truck, so he falls back. Really smart. And I'm starting a push on the bottom side. Now the Tesla tanks were really good, because they can just keep kiting forever. They're like a really, really long range and better version of a Ranger, in that they just inflict manpower bleed. They don't actually outright kill stuff, but they're really good versus infantry. They pick him off one by one. He's got another MCV, and this time he's getting desperate. He needs to make something happen here. I still got my eco up. And those were so costly for him. Those artillery shells just cost him his army. Now I can go in with the Hinds, I kill his entire his Conyard, and at the same time I kill his endeavors at expanding here. So I've got 2 mechanics in the blob, and steal away the husk. Second mechanic, he focuses it with the Yak, but the second mechanic gets in, and this time I managed to get it deployed, and that means Soviet tech for France. Yes. French Iron Curtain. I wish there was a fake Iron Curtain. It doesn't happen actually. Yeah, but Soviet technology for the Allies. You can imagine the kind of stuff you can pull off with this. Like for example, chronoing and Iron Curtaining 5 tanks. Really potent. He's desperate. 5 seconds off the nuke timer is trying to get my missile silo. Nope. Not happening. Nuke is firing right now. And I've scouted his tech. I'm just straight going for the tech here. He was a bit slow on the trigger finger. I believe he could have saved his tech, his Iron Curtain, his tech center, and the radar dome, but he didn't pull it off in time. So that just blows a chunk into his tech budget, and he calls it. He wouldn't technically have been out of the game, but it would have been an uphill battle from there, because he had lost, he had lost all his tech. He had no more army up there, no more standing army. He had lost lots of infantry to the nuke, and it would have just been downhill for him from there. Could have clawed his way back, but decided not to. Anyway, that was a really good game by Murto, well played. We both made mistakes, because we both were nervous, obviously. But all in all, I'd say really, really good games. Really hard fought, and that actually put me in the lead for the Masters League for the first time. Because I had lost a game to Barf, but now I had won 2 games against Murto, who was second. Or who used to be first. Well, that concludes episode number 6, I believe. It's been a ton of fun. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week with another Global League series video, and also there is going to be Crystallized Doom shoutcasts in the near future, so keep an eye out for that. Recruits, at ease, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week. 5 Aces out.